Tantor Audio, a division of Recorded Books, presents Personal Finance After 50 for Dummies, 2nd edition, by Tyson, MBA. Edited by Robert C. Carlson. Narrated by B.J. Harrison. Introduction. We're all getting older, together. Aging presents opportunities for increased wisdom and broader perspectives, as well as some increased challenges. One of those challenges has to do with finances. The new and sometimes more complex financial decisions that confront folks in their later working years and then in retirement can be tough to work through. For example, consider the types of questions we, your humble authors, have been asked from folks in our advisory businesses. Can we afford to retire? How much can we comfortably spend per year given our assets? My employer is offering me pension options. How do I choose among them? I just left my employer, by choice or through layoff, and have some money in a retirement account. What should I do with it? How should I manage my investments now and in the years ahead? When should I begin collecting Social Security benefits? What's the process for withdrawing money from my retirement accounts? And how can I minimize my tax hit from doing this? Should I buy an annuity? If so, what type? Are reverse mortgages a good idea? What types of additional medical insurance, long-term care insurance, Medicare supplement, and so on, do I need pre- and post-retirement? An agent is telling me to buy more and different life insurance. How much do I need, and what type of life insurance should I buy? Do I need a will? Do I need an estate plan? What should I do to protect my spouse, children, or significant others? We wrote this book to answer these questions and many more that face you as you age and grapple with your finances during your senior years. We hope to not only answer your questions, but to also make you aware of important issues you may not be aware of, so you can have plenty of time to consider them and make decisions that enhance your financial independence. About this book. Everyone needs to make financial decisions. Whether you're rich, middle class, or poor, 50 or 85 years old, retired, or still working 2 jobs, money passes through your hands every day. No matter your situation, we're excellently positioned to give you sound financial advice on the range of issues presented in this book. We each have decades of professional experience in the financial services industry. We each have extensive training and background to provide expert personal financial and retirement advice. And we both communicate in plain English with our listeners, operate free of conflicts of interest, and interact with people like you with real financial problems that need solutions. Eric started working as a management consultant in the financial services industry, and then worked as a personal financial counselor. Now, he's an author and the proprietor of erictyson.com. Eric is a trained economist who graduated with honors in economics from Yale University. Bob is chairman of the Board of Trustees of the Fairfax County Employees Retirement System, which has more than $3 billion in assets. He has served on the board since 1992. He's also the editor of the monthly newsletter, Retirement Watch. Bob received his J.D. and an M.S. in accounting from the University of Virginia and received his B.S. in financial management from Clemson University and passed the CPA exam. Finally, we refer to the decade from 2000 to 2009 as the 2000s. We just wanted to avoid any confusion in case you were thinking of the year 2095. Foolish Assumptions. When writing this book, we made some assumptions about you. You're age 50 or older, or rapidly approaching that age, and are approaching or are in retirement. You're still in the workforce and have no plans to retire, which is fine and compatible with our approach in this book too. You want expert advice about important financial topics, and you want easy-to-understand answers. You want a crash course in personal finance and are looking for a book to help solidify major financial concepts and get you thinking about your finances in a more comprehensive way. Throughout this book, we offer many resources, including websites and online tools to help you, as well as plenty of alternative offline resources and assistance. Icons used in this book. The icons in this book help you find particular kinds of information that may be of use to you. Here's a rundown of what each icon means. Tip. This target flags strategy recommendations for making the most of your money. Remember, when you see this icon, you'll know the text next to it points out information that you definitely want to remember. Warning. This icon alerts you to scams and scoundrels who prey on the unsuspecting. Investigate. The Investigate icon tells you when you should consider doing some additional research. Don't worry, we explain what to consider and what to look out for. Technical stuff. This icon appears besides discussions you can safely ignore because they aren't critical to your understanding of the topic at hand. However, listening to them can help deepen your personal financial knowledge. Beyond the book. In addition to the material in the book you're listening to right now, this product also comes with some Access Anywhere goodies on the web. To get the free cheat sheet, simply go to dummies.com and search for Personal Finance After 50 for Dummies cheat sheet. By using the search box for information about employer pensions and go to dummies.com/extras/Personal Finance After 50 for articles that explain the evolution of long-term care, offer advice on how to answer Medicare questions, and more. Where to go from here. This book is organized so you can go wherever you want to find complete information. Want advice on managing and tracking your expenses in retirement? See Chapter 6. If you're interested in investing strategies and developing a retirement plan, cruise on over to Part 2. If you're not sure where you want to go, you may want to start with Part 1. It gives you all the basic info you need to assess your financial situation and points to places where you can find more detailed information for improving it. You can skip to Chapter 1 and begin listening for a complete and thorough crash course in personal finance during your golden years. 1. Working toward retirement. In this part, get complete and easy-to-understand guidance on how to best plan for a secure financial future. Learn how to protect your employment income. Develop a plan that will see you through your retirement years by discovering the best retirement investments and strategies and understanding retirement account rules. Chapter 1. Looking ahead to your future. In this chapter, taking charge of your long-term plans, implementing retirement planning strategies. From a young age, various adults in our lives tell us to plan ahead. Although it may be sunny and clear outside this morning, they tell us to take rain gear for this afternoon's possible heavy rain. When packing for a day at the beach, they suggest sunscreen and money for lunch. And do your best in high school, they say, because your transcript will in part determine which colleges accept you. Although some parents provide guidance to their children on the topic of long-term financial planning, most don't, because they aren't sufficiently knowledgeable or are reluctant to explain these things to their kids. And therein lays a pretty significant problem concerning finances for your adult and especially later adult years. And retirement has its own set of trials. Unexpected life events, such as a loss of a job, the death of a loved one, or a major medical problem, are economic challenges that can throw a wrench in the best plans. The severe recession and stock market decline in the late 2000s, both of which were the worst in decades, highlighted other potential planning obstacles. Many near retirees and recent retirees caught off guard face the possible need to keep on working beyond typical retirement age, the need to reduce spending and make do with less, for example, one car rather than two, and the need to cope with diminished investment portfolios and declining home values. These challenges can occur at any time during life, but they're especially challenging when they happen when you're in or near retirement. You have less time to make up for setbacks and any mistakes you make as you age. At some point in most folks' lives, working longer or going back to work no longer are viable options. That's why planning and regularly reviewing and reevaluating your plans is essential. We know many of you are listening to this book having done little or no planning to this point. Don't worry, though. It's never too late to start planning. Studies of retirees show those who are most content in retirement are those who did some planning, even if it was a small amount. Planning is how you match your resources with your goals and expectations and identify where adjustments need to be made. Even if you're already retired, planning now can improve the rest of your retirement. This chapter discusses important themes that run throughout the book: the value of planning ahead and getting on the best path as soon as possible, the importance of taking personal responsibility, and the significance of taking a long-term perspective to make the most of your senior years. We also discuss how to keep the right focus to optimize your retirement planning. Planning for the longer term. Planning doesn't sound fun, and for many people it isn't one of life's most enjoyable activities. But nearly everyone values the benefits of proper planning: peace of mind, financial security, more options and choices, improved health, and a better lifestyle. During your senior years, you have many choices about different financial issues. You can change some of the decisions after you make them, but others can't be altered. If you do decide to make adjustments, you have fewer years to benefit from the new choices. That's why, as you approach your senior years, planning your finances is more important than it was earlier in life. In this section, we discuss the important issues that warrant your planning attention, explain why you should be the person to take the most responsibility for making that happen, even if you hire some help, and quantify the value of your taking our advice. Identifying long-term planning issues. What's on your mind, or should be on your mind, regarding your financial future? Consider how many of the issues in the following sections require long-term planning. Choosing among an employer's pension options. You need to look not just years, but decades into the future to determine which pension option may best meet your needs and those of your loved ones. A pension is an employer-provided retirement benefit from money that your employer puts away on your behalf, wherein you receive a monthly payment based on your years of service and earnings. A pension typically is just one of several sources of retirement income you may have, the others typically being Social Security and personal savings, including retirement accounts. So you must consider how these will fit together over many years. Pensions, check out Chapter 7 for more info, differ from other sources of income such as 401ks, IRA, profit-sharing plans, and employee stock ownership plans, or ESOPs, mainly in that only pensions guarantee you a fixed payment backed by your employer. With other types of retirement savings, the amount you receive in retirement depends on the amount you contribute and how you invest the account. See Chapter 5 for more info on other retirement accounts. Leaving an employer and deciding what to do with your retirement account money. When you change jobs, get laid off, or retire, you often are faced with choices about when and how to withdraw money from retirement accounts, such as 401ks or 401bs, and minimizing the tax hit from doing so. Moving money is a decision you have to make today, but don't make light of this decision because the decision affects how much money you'll have in the decades to come. Remember, some employer plans allow you to keep retirement money in place, even if you're no longer employed with the company. You may choose to accept the offer to keep money in place if it's a plan with good investment options and low costs. Planning retirement account withdrawals requires long-term tax planning if you want to make the withdrawals in the best way possible. For more information on handling retirement accounts, see Chapter 5. Determining whether you can afford to retire and how much you can safely spend per year. To assess whether you can afford to retire and how much you'll be able to spend after you do retire, you have to do some analysis relating to your spending habits and investing holdings and temperament. And to be sure that you don't run out of money or come close to running out of money, you also need to consider a wide range of scenarios for how your investments may perform in the years ahead. You can't assume investments will return their historic averages each year. In fact, we've seen some stock indexes generate low returns or even negative returns over periods of a decade or more. See Part 2 for more information on each of these issues. Remember, as with other aspects in life, differentiate between the things you can control and the things that you can't. The economy will go through recessions, and the stock market will decline. Predicting their timing, depth, and duration is beyond anyone's control. Although you can't control these events, you can be prepared for them. Your plan should reflect that by having some flexibility and, if possible, a cushion. For example, you can control some of your spending and how much risk you take investing. Deciding when to begin collecting Social Security. Deciding when to begin collecting your Social Security is a complicated decision that's impacted by many factors, including tax laws, your earnings and your spouse's earnings, marital status, and your health, among others. As we discuss in Chapter 10, you have to look years and decades ahead to make an appropriate and successful decision. Considering a reverse mortgage. Reverse mortgages are becoming increasingly popular to provide supplemental retirement income to cash-poor and relatively house-rich elderly. With a reverse mortgage, you receive payments, or a lump sum, from the lender. Interest on the loan and fees compounds, but the debt doesn't have to be paid until the home is sold. When you consider taking out this type of mortgage, you should do plenty of long-term analysis to compare your options and be sure you're getting the right one for your situation. See Chapter 8 for the details. Contemplating additional medical insurance. Health insurance is always a prickly issue to deal with because it's difficult to know what medical issues you may be facing 5, 10, 20 or more years from now. Sure, you can gain a general sense from your parents and from the types of medical issues that aging adults confront, but only time will tell what unique issues you'll confront. Different options you have to consider pre- and post-retirement are long-term care insurance, see Chapter 9 for more info, and Medicare supplements, refer to Chapter 11. Weighing the option to buy more or different life insurance. When others are dependent on your employment income, you may need some life insurance coverage. And depending on your specific assets, the type of life insurance you may most benefit from may change over the years. Remember, to determine your life insurance needs, you should have a good sense of your current financial assets and current and future obligations. Refer to Chapter 2 for more information on evaluating your need for life insurance. Warning: be aware of and involved in your investments. Keeping a close eye on your investments and knowing what's going on with your money is important, particularly during your senior years. You should never blindly trust someone with your money. Consider the victims who lost tens of billions of dollars to hedge fund Ponzi schemer Bernie Madoff, many of whom were near or in retirement. The prime targets of the Madoff scam, and of most financial scams, were people in their 50s and older who worry about their standard of living and income, though they're what most people consider financially comfortable. Within this group was another target group: entrepreneurs and successful professionals. Risk-taking usually is part of their personal profiles, and risk-takers often are attracted to unique and little-known strategies. That's why con artists seek them. Madoff investors lost so much money in such a total fraud primarily because of a lack of homework. Victims failed to conduct proper research, or even any research, on Madoff's claimed results. They simply invested with Madoff due to the recommendations of others investing with him. With a private money manager like Madoff, investors could have been far better educated regarding his investing options and conducted lots of due diligence. They should have insisted on knowing what his investment strategy was and how it was supposed to work. They should have reviewed audited statements of the amount of assets he claimed to be managing. If they had, they would have noticed that the market for the stock options he claimed to be trading wasn't big enough to support his portfolio, much less all of the other investors trading options. Interestingly, it has come out that Madoff largely refused to provide much information to inquisitive prospective investors, and essentially blew them off and turned them away. In retrospect, such behavior makes sense, because Madoff wasn't interested and didn't need to accept money from investors who were asking too many questions. After all, they may have uncovered his enormous fraud. Developing your estate plan. Your financial circumstances, of course, will change in the years ahead, and so will tax and probate laws. Planning your estate involves many issues, including ensuring your own financial security, taking care of your affairs in the event you're unable to do so yourself, and protecting and providing for your heirs. Head to Part 4 to find out more. Taking personal responsibility for your financial future. Our lives are filled with responsibilities. jobs, family obligations, bills, household maintenance, you name it. We all try to make time for friends, fun, and recreation as well. With all these competing demands, it's no wonder that many folks find that planning for their financial future continually gets pushed to the back burner. Most people don't have the time, desire, or experience to make good financial decisions. But you've taken a huge step to erase those obstacles in buying this book. We provide sound counsel and advice, and now you're investing the time and energy to get on a better path toward retirement. Remember, from this point forward, we urge you to always remember that you and only you can take full responsibility for your financial future. Of course, you can hire advisors or delegate certain issues to a willing and competent spouse or a beloved relative. But at the end of the day, it's your money on the line, and you had better take an interest in it. Delegating your responsibilities without knowledge, understanding, and some involvement is a recipe for disaster. You could end up without vital insurance, be taken advantage of in terms of fees, or even defrauded, among other unsavory outcomes. Saving and planning sooner and smarter pays off. Throughout this book, we discuss financial strategies and tactics for making the most of your money over the coming decades of your life. The sooner you get control over and optimize your finances, the bigger your payoff will be. Remember, you should never rush into making changes that you don't understand and haven't had time to properly research. Procrastination comes with many costs, including lost financial opportunities. Creating a financial plan and sticking to it is so important when planning for retirement. Chapter 3 helps you make your own plan. Consider, for example, something that nearly everyone wants to do: save and invest for future financial goals such as retirement. Take the case of the Fuller family, who came to Eric for financial counseling years ago. The Fullers enjoyed a healthy and relatively stable income, yet they saved little, if any, money annually. They knew how to spend money. In terms of savings, they had about $100,000, which sounds like a lot, but given their annual income, $150,000, and ages, late 40s, they still hadn't accumulated savings equal to a year's worth of income. The money they had wasn't well invested. Nearly all of it was in low-interest bank accounts and a pricey life insurance policy that provided just $500,000 of coverage, not near enough given their incomes and the fact that they had dependent children. Of course, they could have done worse. At least the money was growing slowly. However, they weren't going to reach their retirement goals unless their money started working harder for them. Over a number of months, the Fullers worked with Eric and were able to implement the following changes, which they stuck with for the years that followed. They increased their savings rate. They were able to consistently save about 15% of their annual incomes, about $22,500 per year, which was up from just 4%, $6,000. They accomplished this through a combination of reduced spending and reduced taxes by directing their savings into tax-advantaged retirement accounts, including a 401k and SEP IRA. Cutting our expenses was easier than I thought. We were wasting money on things we didn't really need or even use in some cases, said Mrs. Fuller. Her husband added, "We felt much more relaxed and less stressed by cutting our expenses and boosting our savings." They improved their investment returns. Rather than earning a meager return, having their money in low-interest bank accounts, the Fullers enjoyed 8% annual returns by investing in a diverse mix of stocks around the world, along with some high-quality bonds. They purchased better insurance coverage.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?